What are some of those like hard difficulties of going on your mission?
So I think in general, for most people, I think a lot of it comes down to, for a lot of us, it's the first time we've been away from home. I mean, unless you go to a college that's further away from where you live, but
Right.
for a lot of missionaries, it's the first time they've been away from home for an extended amount of time. And then for me personally, while I was on my mission, my dad passed away. And
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
yeah, he was battling cancer for a while. And yeah, that was one thing that happened to me. And I mean, it's happened to a lot of missionaries, but that was one thing for me, especially, that was more of a struggle than anything else.
Right. So you stayed on your mission even after that happened, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I decided to finish up. I had been out a little over a year, around a year, so I had a year
Right.
left. But I was just like, I'm just gonna stay out here.
Yeah, like what like makes you like just make that decision that like, instead of going home and I guess in a sense coping with the family and things like that, to stay out, like what was just like, I'm going to stay here.
So I think part of it, and I've always said this, it wasn't a hard decision for me, but it was a heavy decision. And I think that it was like that because, I mean, yeah, I wanted to finish my mission, and I also wanted to be there for my family. And I talked to my mission president, who was the guy that's in charge of the missionaries in that area, and I asked him, like, if there is a possibility, could I go home and then come back? And he said, well, I'm sure there is, but I'd have to figure that out for sure. I don't want to give you a yes or no answer just yet. And so I thought about it a lot, and then I realized it'd be pretty selfish of me to come home, be here for a couple weeks, and then leave, and
Right.
leave my family without me again when they need me the most. And so I thought it'd be less selfish for me to just stay out here.
Right.
And I mean, it's a decision that I felt really good about, and one that my dad himself even kind of wanted me to do, because I got a few emails from him before he passed away. And in a couple of them, he said, "Don't come home. There's no reason for you to come home. If I die, what's the point? I'm not here. There's nothing you
Right.
can do. You might as well just stay out there and do what you're doing."
Right.
Which is true. I mean, I was out there for a good reason. I was doing some good stuff, and so I figured, why go home?
Right. It makes a lot of sense, man. The first time I ever witnessed something like that was, I don't know if you remember, you're from Pocatello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Parrish family
Mm-hmm.
a while ago with the carbon monoxide
Yeah.
poisoning.
I'm
like,
good friends with their family. Yeah.
Really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. But I just remember seeing, a couple people, or one of them was on their mission.
Yeah. There's two of them.
Yeah.
The two oldest were on their
Right.
missions.
And I believe that they came back for a minute, but they went like right back out.
So yeah, they both came back, and then Ian went back and finished, and Jensen stayed home.
Right.
And I'm really good friends with Caden Curtis, who is their Bill and Ross's nephew. He's a little younger than me, and he was on his mission when it happened too, and he stayed out. Which, I mean, it was his aunt and uncle and cousins that passed
Right.
away, but he had a hard time with it too. I mean, the whole family did. They're a really close family. The whole family's all really close together. They're really
Right.
tight knit group of people, and they're
That's
awesome.
just crazy. Like I can't imagine. Like I
No.
know personally I've had one extreme loss, like a really close person who passed.
Right.
And having those emotions, those feelings, those thoughts, those moments, just thinking of, putting myself apart for someone else to go, to go finish
Yeah.
what I'm here for.
Mhm.
Like that's a very ultimate powerful thing to me to
Right.
witness,
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because I heard about it because I knew him. I knew him a little bit. I didn't know the whole family that well, but I knew Ian, and I knew Jensen, and I knew one of their other sons, Keegan.
Right.
And I when my mom told me about it on my mission, when she said, "Oh, the parish has passed away," I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" Because she's like, "Yeah, like the whole family, like the
that's
two parents and the two kids that were still home." I was like, "You got to be kidding! That's nuts."
I remember, don't quote me on this, but I remember a family member telling me that they work at Costco, and I believe the following day, Pocatello and Chubbuck ran out almost everywhere of carbon monoxide poisoning detectors because of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That incident.
I
But-
know. Bill's sister, Carrie Curtis. I don't know if you know her.
Mm-mm.
She's done a lot of stuff at the theater. She now has a program where she gives away carbon monoxide detectors for
Really?
free to
Oh.
anyone that needs one because of her family.
That's insane.
And they have the basketball tournament here in town in honor of Bill, and
Yeah.
there's the trail up by Highland High School that's dedicated to them. And they were
I really heard
Local
good
celebrities,
things. Yeah,
basically.
because they owned a business too, I believe, right? I believe it's something called the Parish.
There
Or,
used to be a Parish store here in town, but
wasn't it owned by them or no?
I don't know if it was them or if it was like his parents.
Gotcha.
And it used to be like right by where the Wendy's in
Right.
Chubbuck is, and so,
Yeah,
but it's not there anymore. It's where the ICCU
right.
branch
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Yeah, I just remember that. Another part too is like when all this happened, because my family, they bought carbon monoxide.
Right.
Like I just remember, my mom being like, they're sold out, and like, I was like, oh my gosh, just because how tragic that can happen overnight. So, but I remember too, a couple months later, I was dancing for Dance Factory. Of course, I was still dancing back in the day, and we had a piece, not me, but someone else put together the Littles. Do you know them? It's like a family of littles. They have like 5, 6 sisters, and they're all dance, and they're all amazing. But they all the sisters, like oldest, youngest, put a dance together for the Parish family, and it was like just powerful, just to see like a community come together and kind of just like in an artistic way give back,
right?
Or not give back, but kind of just honor, the family.
Well, I mean, I don't know. These church buildings right over here, right? Where there's 2 of them right next to each other in the same parking lot. That's where they had the funeral for all 4 of them the same day.
Oh wow.
And they held it in one building, and because there were so many people, they broadcast it to the other building, and like both buildings were full, and they had people at the doors. That just tells you how big of a presence certain people in our community are.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a great loss. Like I said, I didn't know them that well. I knew their kids pretty well. I still talk to their kids quite often. I mean, I'm pretty good friends with most of them. Parish Curtis family, and so yeah, it was hard for me to hear about it on my mission, especially because my buddy Caden was on his mission, and it just broke my heart for him because I can't imagine.
Like, yeah.
And then my dad passed away, and I was like, well, I guess I can imagine.
I guess I can.
I mean,
I'm so sorry, man.
And I talked to Carrie about it too. Right after I got home from my mission, I went and saw them and visited with them, and I was talking to her about it. I was like, I can't imagine what you're going through because you lost 4 at once. I only lost 1. And she's like, you know what? It's probably no different because it was all 4 at once. If it would have been 4 staggered, it would have been a lot harder. But where it all happened at once, I bet it's no different. And I was like, you know what?
Because that recovery process, man.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
I'm still... when I lost... It was my grandmother that passed away.
Right, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. What happened, though, is like... I was just at work at Dick's Sporting Goods, and my grandpa calls me, and I'm always like messing around with him, like, "What you want, Grants? I'm working." And but it was weird because I had this thought before I pulled out my phone that like he knows I'm at work. Why would he call me? That's why, But I didn't think it was anything bad. Of course, he's telling me my grandma had a heart attack. She's in the hospital, and it was like an 8-hour thing until she finally passed. But every time I get a call from someone at a random time, it bugs the hell.
It makes you wonder,
It makes me not want to answer my phone.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty good at like answering my phone at all times, even school, work, whatever. I'll step out, answer it. But when it's at an awkward time, like my mom at 2 a.m, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's no reason you're calling.
Yeah, and it's always like, hey son, like I'm doing my taxes. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck? Like you can't call me like this. It's not important. And it drives me crazy. It just that feeling though, that pain, I just don't even know if it'll ever go. It's been years now, and I still have it.
And see, for me, while I was on my mission president called me earlier in the day, and he just told me, I just want you to know, your dad's not doing well. He's in the hospital. He's not responsive, and it's not looking good. So I said, wow. Okay. And so my companion and I, we went out for the day and worked, and then kind of just had a feeling all day. I was like, it's not going to end well. I mean, obviously there's one way out of this. Yeah. Like I was like, if he isn't responsive and things aren't going well, obviously there's only one way out, and it's inevitable that it's going to happen eventually. Mm-hmm. And so my companion and I, we went out for the day and just kind of was waiting for the call all day. Never came. And then that night we were back at our apartment and got a call. It was probably like 9:45. And it was my mission president just saying, I'm sorry, I got to tell you this, but your father passed away. And I was like, well, thanks for letting me know. And I mean, I was at peace. I mean, right. I knew it was going to happen. I mean, yeah, it's still hard. Yeah. And I didn't really have a breakdown until the next day. And then the next day is when I kind of lost it. And I was like, why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And then
I'm sorry, man.
Kind of came back to me, and I was like, I'm doing the right thing. I need to stay here. And so, yeah, it was hard to get through, but I'm glad I was there when it happened rather than here, because things would be a lot different in my life now if I had come home. So
exactly.
So I'm glad I stayed.
Well, I admire you for doing it, man. Truly.